Hello everybody, my name is Dustin Cormier. Today we're going to continue our discussion on Jurema by talking about a very important article written by a very brave and intelligent woman by the name of Yatra de Silveira Barbosa. So you can find this article for yourself. This comes from Maps, Volume 8, Number 3 from 1998. It's the Jurema ritual in northern Brazil. It's, of course, written by Yatra W.M. de Silveira Barbosa. And this is the article that we're going to be taking this reading from. So Yatra says, I work with Friends of the Forest, at the time that is, a non-profit foundation engaged in the research of psychoactive plants and rituals, in the investigation of addiction treatment and other therapeutic applications. After researching Mimosa Hostilis and Paganum harmala in Europe, I traveled to northeastern Brazil in 1997 in January to undertake field research with the tribes who use Jurema, that's Mimosa Hostilis, in a ritualistic way, in order to learn about their rituals and preparation. Now, the use of Jurema in rituals is said to be relatively extinct, according to Schultz and Hoffman in 1980. But it continues underground. The children of those tribes who originally used it, which was a mixture between whites and Negroes, slowly lost their rights to the indigenous land as they were no longer recognized as natives or Indians, also called caboclos. A war started for land in that area, the interior of Bahia, Pernambuco, and Paraíba, the so-called Certo, which has been going on now for about 80 years. The white people took the natives away from their land, burning their houses and leaving thousands of them homeless. In order to be recognized as natives and reestablish their identity and reclaim the right to their land, these people had to show a tradition. So the Oculto da Jurema, the Jurema cult, was brought back among the native tribes to reestablish their indigenous identity. With the gap in time, much knowledge was lost, as this tradition had never been documented. All the knowledge was passed on from father to son, and the Indians were always very secretive about the ritualistic use of their psychoactive brew, because of the tremendous persecution from the white people. I met two Brazilian anthropologists who had worked with these tribes, and we traveled together. One of them is the director of the non-governmental foundation which takes care of the indigenous affairs in the area. We arrived in Sertão, a place where nothing grows but Jurema branca, that's Mimosa vericosa. Jurema negra, which is Mimosa hostilis, and cannabis, a true garden of the gods, are also included in this area. I realized after a healing ritual, a cura, with the Truca tribe, that the brew that they were drinking did not have psychoactive properties. With the gap in time, the tribe's people had lost the knowledge of the beta-carboline containing plant used to activate the effect of the DMT containing Jurema. Their ceremonies did include trance possession rituals, where they drank the Jurema alone. These rituals are part of several syncretic religions with a heavy African influence. I happen to have Paganum harmala seeds with me, and I proposed that we do a ritual with a combination of Jurema and Paganum harmala. We demonstrated how to prepare them together, and in the evening we held the ritual with only Mestre and Tino, the spiritual leader of the tribe, Joaquim, the Juremiero, it's the man who prepares and serves the Jurema during the rituals, and their 4 best mediums who incorporate the spirits during transpossession. It was incredible. The Juremiero, who never took part in the transpossession, but just dealt with the Jurema and their rituals, was possessed almost during the entire time. Sometimes some panic would emerge, and we all kept singing until it passed away. The master had to lay down most of the time and reported having an amazing journey. I left the next day to visit the Atacum tribe on the mountain of Uma, leaving some Paganum harmless seeds for the Trucas to plant and some already extracted for them to drink and do their rituals with. As we entered deeper into the Sertão, we were confronted with another war, the war on drugs. The biggest cannabis plantation in South America lies in this area. So because of lack of financial resources, the natives and local white folks deal cannabis for their survival, as there is no other economy available to them, and their land is extremely poor. We had to arrive in the area by daylight in order not to be taken as drug dealers. There was a lot of turbulence in that area, with gunshots and violence. A cold drug war was going on right there. One Indian from the Atacum tribe, who lived with the Trucas, agreed to travel with us and to take us to his tribe, as it was extremely dangerous to go up the mountain unless you were brought by a tribe member. At the end of the afternoon, we arrived at the Atacum village at the top of a mountain. What a beautiful place. Marana, an English friend who had been traveling with us, was the second gringo ever to come up there, and they appreciated his courage. We were received by the cacique of the tribe, Ana Olinda de Conceição, who took us to her house, where we set our hammocks and stayed for a few days. The next day, she organized a ritual for us. They have a few different settings for rituals, and she prepared what she calls Trabalho da Jurema. That's Jurema's work. We were taken for a long walk, leading us to an immense rock with a cave. Inside this cave was an altar, the place where the ritual was held. As the ritual began, they started to sing, and a little later the Jurema brew was served. Anna started to sing, and the transpossession started. She incorporated the spirit of the caboclo called Jurema, the native entity from the forest, who stayed throughout the ritual, singing many songs, praying, and talking to the people as if to give advice. The brew was imbibed a few times more until the bottle was empty. There are some very interesting similarities between Jurema rituals and ayahuasca rituals from the Amazon forest. Jurema rituals have characteristics of a ritual work done under a psychoactive influence. However, the natives here also drink alcohol, as alcohol is the only thing available to them to alter their state of consciousness and to highlight their rituals so as to serve the spirits manifested. Many bottles of cachaça, it's aguardente from sugarcane, the strongest alcohol one can drink in Brazil, lay around the altar, empty. Yet it seems that by the end of the ritual, when the spirits who have drunk through the bodies of the medium participants leave, the participants seem sober. This phenomena has been observed in Umbanda, Candomblé, and other African traditions that are part of the Brazilian syncretic religions. The next evening, we held another type of Jurema ritual called the Torre. Participants go into trance possession during this ritual as well. The day before we left, I asked permission to introduce a plant from another kingdom to be drunk with the Jurema. They asked me, what is the tawante, the music of this plant. I sang for them a song that I channeled when I had the first Paganum Harmala ritual with the Trukas just a few days before. Very cool. Anna and I cooked the brews together. This was new for her, as typically the Atacum use cold extraction for their Jurema preparation, not boiling or cooking. The ritual was held in Anna's house, and surprisingly, though only a few people were invited, by the time of the ritual an enormous number of natives had gathered in and around the house, and about 10 of them drank the brew. One of the people who was drinking was one of the oldest women in the tribe, Cotinha, around 80 years old. The ritual started. I served both brews together in small amounts with the intention of giving a second and maybe a third dose. We all started to sing their songs and my songs. Anna went into a trance possession, and meanwhile, Cotinha fell flat on the floor, losing consciousness for a while. When this happened, the natives panicked, but Anna gave me credit and told the others that I knew what I was doing and that they had to trust their Jurema. Her trust brought back order, and I started to sing for this old lady who was lying unconscious on the ground just next to me. Some minutes later, she regained consciousness, stood up, and started to dance the tore, which she hadn't done for many years because of her old age. Suddenly, she sat back down on the floor. We were all sitting on the floor, looking at the others, and asked, "Have I been home?" Sorry, the woman looked at the others and asked, "Have I been home?" Anna, the cacique, was the next one to fall unconscious, and I told her to just let it go and explore what was happening in the land of the enchanted people, as they call the spirits, the encantados. After a while, she came to and started to dance and sing again. Only a few of them drank a second dose. The ritual was finished after about 4 hours. We all sat outside to contemplate the stars. They said, "We have finally found the roots of our tradition." My traveling companions and I left some Paganum Harmala ready to be drank, and lots of seeds to be planted. By the time we were ready to leave, many of the Atacum gathered again to say goodbye, and Cotinha, while giving me some bananas for my journey and a big hug, thanked me for bringing my knowledge of Paganum Harmala. We repeated the same experience with the Funyos and Cayambe, leaving Paganum Harmala seeds with them to plant. After interviewing many people and participating in different Jurema rituals with the natives, I also realized that the Jurema they drink in their brew is not necessarily Mimosa Hostilis, but the bark from Mimosa verrucosa. Different tribes will call Mimosa Hostilis the Jurema negra and Mimosa verrucosa the Jurema branca, as well as other tribes calling them the opposite. That means that when they say they drink Jurema negra, it does not necessarily mean they're drinking the Hostilis, but verrucosa, which is called both branca and negra. So this was the work done by Yatra. That's Yatra da Silveira Barbosa. It's a very important article. I'm very excited to have been able to share it. It is an incredible account of one brave woman's knowledge and faith in bringing together estranged cultural roots through the plant consciousness that was speaking to her. using the songs and using and channeling the spirit of the plant in order to make these connections in the human world with these tribes who so desperately sought to bring their tradition and to honor their ancestry and culture by bringing their tradition back into cohesion. It's a very important story. So this has been my description of Yatra's brave journey through Brazil at a crazy time when there was lots of the war on drugs was going on and all this distension between different tribes. This woman should be saved at all costs, as they say these days. So I applaud Yatra, and I encourage everybody to dig into this very important plant. I myself have had some experiences with it, at least 2 or 3 at this point. I think 3. And each one of them has brought me a different but yet similar resonance and understanding of my own life, my own spirit, and the spirit inside the Jurema. And I plan on talking about it eventually, as well as discussing it in my literature. I'm going to be writing some books pretty soon. One book in particular, a novel describing some of my experiences with it. It's going to be called Eternal Soul Afternoon. So I hope that this was useful. I hope that this video gave some clarity. My name is Dustin Cormier. Thank you so much to everybody for listening. I hope this gave a little bit of an idea and understanding of what Jurema is. Thanks for watching.